Okay, today I'm going to talk about the Chase Data Callcentor Now Inbound blended solution for customer service. So if you're doing customer service calls or taking a lot of inbound calls, I'm going to show you this system and how it works. So this is the management portal. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And then when I log in, I'm going to shoot over to the dashboard here real quick. And I want to show you what the activity displays in this dashboard here. So right now I have 6 agents that are either waiting to take a call, either inbound or outbound. This is Danielle. She's in my support campaign, and her skill is a new trainee because she's new. And so she's actually in this campaign called New Support, and she's been on a call for about 2 minutes and 50, 2 minutes and some, almost going on 3 minutes. Then I have another rep, Jordan, who is in my sales department, and he's in the 2015 new business campaign. And he's actually finishing up a call. He's actually doing it for about 15 minutes. It looks like he's still working on some lead. And then I have reps that are either engaging in an outbound call, making outbound calls, and then I have 2 reps here that are taking support calls. I have Mike in the support campaign. He's been on a call for about 10 minutes, and I have Guillermo, who's my other tech, and he's been on a call for about 5 minutes. So I got 2 support guys, and then I got 2 people on break. Dan, who's the sales manager, he's on break, and then the CEO, he is on. He's also logged in, I guess, and he is on break too. I guess it's a lunchtime here. So this kind of gives me an indicator of what's happening in my call center. What are my reps doing? And then of course, me as a manager, I can always listen, coach, or barge just by clicking on the rep and then just doing a monitor session. So I can monitor my reps. I can also screen share. So if I want to know what my reps are doing, I can also do a screen share, and I can also not only hear what they're saying, but I can see what they're doing also. All right. So this is a little dashboard that tells me what's going on, the activity. If I want to really get down to the actual inbound, or how many inbound calls have we received, I have my metrics here, and I have these different sources or where I get calls coming in from. So we get calls coming in from an 888 number, we get calls coming in from our 855 number, we get sales callbacks from our 561 number, and each one of these sources kind of tells us how many calls we're getting from each source. So it gives us an idea. So let's say if you're doing some sort of marketing campaign or support campaign or any sort of inbound campaign, you can have different sources with each number assigned to it, and then you can see how many calls that have come in. And then you can see how many calls came in, and then you can see how many calls were handled. So here it shows I had 19 calls handled from the tech support, 6 calls were just main general questions, and then I had 2 calls that came directly to this tech, which he has his own DAD. So I'll know that I had 1 call went directly to this DAD, which was assigned to Dan, and 1 call coming in for sales. All right. And then this is just kind of like a pie chart, kind of gives us an idea of how many calls were handled by the agents, how many calls were handled by the IVR, how many calls were abandoned, transferred, how many voicemails, and here's what we call first call resolution, means how many calls came in that were handled with the first instance. So 93% of our calls, once they came in for service, they were handled by one without being transferred, and that's what we call first call resolution. So here's some of the metrics, and then of course, there's more stuff here to your right. If I kind of scroll here, this kind of tells me what how busy the reps are throughout the day. Kind of tells me he's didn't do too much, and then throughout the day his talk time has been increasing, and then your average connect time. And then there's some other more metrics here to your right, average talk time and so forth. And I can probably scroll here to see what's what's being done. So if I scroll over here, and here's some other cool stuff here. If I'm going to go down, just to kind of give you an idea, this is kind of tells me how many calls were handled, how many calls were incoming, how many abandoned calls is in purple, transfer calls, voicemail. So kind of get to see the layout of the activity of the calls that have come in. And then here to my right, I'm just going to show you. It's kind of cool. This tells me all my different sources, and it kind of tells me, 21 calls were coming from tech support. So many calls came in from the same number, and then here it kind of gives me a little bit, and I can expand into it more in detail. And then here, if I just kind of look over here, I'm just going to push over here. This actually tells me which calls are actually in queue or inbound actual calls. So I have two calls that are actually being handled as they're being connected, and I know who they are. One's Antonio here, and Mark Matthew so there's two calls being handled right now, and there's no calls that are in queue, and there's one rep that's available to take the call. So if I place a call, I'm actually going to do it right now, you'll see the call. So I'm going to actually place a call using my cell phone, and let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and place a call to the main office number. Oh, let me go ahead and do that here. I'm doing it for my cell phone, so. And then now I just hit the send button, and you will see it display here in yellow as a call comes in. And then Danielle will probably take it. You see the call came in? And this is my caller ID. So, and now it's going into the queue, and now Danielle is going to be, so Danielle's in support. So it's waiting for me to do so I'm going to say press 2 for support. Now I just pressed 2, and you see that? It recognized it, and now Danielle, hello?
Thank you for calling Chase Data. This is Danielle.
Hey Danielle, this is Ahmed. I'm just placing a test call here. That's all.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
So you notice I made the call, got connected to Danielle, and now Danielle just dispositioned the call, and that call went away. You see how that all happened in real time right there. So this is the inbound dashboard and all the metrics to allow you to manage and see what's going on. And then of course we have reports. So like for example, I said it if I wanted to do a search, I have these predefined searches I've done. So I say, hey, I want to see what today's inbound calls are. This is a predefined search that I've done. So I can just click on today's inbound calls, and it says I have 28 unique callers that have actually called in to our office. These are the company names. These are who called, what the status was, how many times we've been engaged with these people throughout the lifetime, and how long we were on the phone for them last, and then who handled the call. So this just kind of gives me an indicator, what happened, who called in, so I get an idea. The manager gets an idea. And of course, you can run a report. So let's say if I want to run a report, and I want to know exactly, which company, and similar to what I saw, I can also run a report, and I can run a report here. I'm just going to go here, and I can run it by the campaign. So if I have a certain campaign I want to see, but if I want to know, hey, I want to know all my inbound calls, or I want to know who are all my outbound calls that came in or made out. So if I want to just search for all my inbound calls for today, and I can pick it by the source, if they came in from this number or that number or the main sales. So if I want to know all the calls that came in from this number, I can just hit search, and it will tell me. And then I can also do it by duration. So if I want to see all the the main any call that came in where it's at least 20 seconds long, and 20 seconds I should say, and I'm just going to hit search. Let's see what happens. And I'm just going to hit refresh, and these will tell me all the calls that came in that were at least over 20 seconds. You see that, the duration? And this also tells me the hold time, how long they were on hold for. So I can also export this report. So it gives me a real nice breakdown of all the calls that came in and the calls that went out. And then of course I can set up my inbound call queues. I'm going to show you guys how this call queue works. So let me go back to my dashboard so you can see who's logged in and what's happening. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. I see that there's no reps waiting for calls, 3 reps are on pause, 2 people are on call, 1 doing disposition. So I know that if a call comes in, there's nobody available, so it's probably going to go to voicemail. So in any case, let me show you how the inbound works. So I'm going to go to inbound voice prompts. And this voice prompts means that I want to create my greeting message, my hold message, my please hold for the next available operator message, and so forth. I call them the event messages. So if I go to my voice prompts, and in my voice prompts, you notice that we have these events. We have a greeting. So each event is assigned. So if somebody calls into the main number, we have a greeting message that we uploaded. So the way it works is for each one of these events, you may have a message, like if there's no available operators, you may upload a message. But not only you can do messages, but you can also instruct the call on how to route the call. So for example, if there are no available operators when someone calls this 855 number, then the system will go and dial to this number. So not only it can also route the call. So in a certain event, if a certain number or campaign, so for example here, if someone calls this number and the event is there's a rep, there's a wait for operator, then it will play a wait for operator message, and then it will go to a voicemail because that's how we have terminated the call. And then we can terminate it to a voicemail, to a hang up, to an extension. So that's how we route calls. Or if we select none, then it just stays in the actual queue. And then we have IVR prompts. Basically, this tells us what happens for certain things. So, like if we press 1 or press 2, certain things can happen. So we haven't set any IVR prompts yet here, but you can. And I'll show you how that works. I'm sorry, that will be in the routing. So let me explain that. So for the routing here, I'm going to show you, when someone calls this main number and they press 0, then it goes to the operator. It's like if this, then that. If someone calls this number and they press this number, then it's considered a callback. If someone calls this number and they press 1, then it goes into a queue called the source is that, and that gets routed to whoever's logged into that source or that queue. So this is the IVR. So if someone dials a particular number, presses a particular extension, we can route the call anyway to either a source. It can go as to a skill, to an extension. So we can route the call to any channel based on what the customer or the caller presses when they call in a particular number. And then we also have priorities. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go into my, let's say, the support skill. So let's go to my support manager. So when the support team gets a call from this number, we can assign it different priorities. If they get a call from the support, from an actual tech support call, I can give it a 10 priority. That means that make sure that when someone calls this number, then the support manager has the highest priority to that number. Okay, so where somebody on the outbound department or someone in the, let's say in the sales, let's go to the sales, let's go to a sales manager, or let's go to the sales manager. See where the sales manager, when it comes to a tech support call, he may not receive that call because it's not set up for him. It's not active. So when someone calls this number, the sales manager is not going to get it. So each number listed we can set priorities or availabilities by each skill. All right. And then, of course, like anything else, you can also listen to your recorded calls. Each call is recorded, which is really good. It allows me to track and to see what happened. So if I want to search for all calls that were made today, I can listen to the calls. So if I wanted to just click on a call that was pretty long, I can hear Mike's support call. I can hit play. He had a task completed. I can hit play and I can listen to his tech call. Now, once I listen to it, the manager can then rate the tech call, see how good the tech call went. And then he can give it a rating. And then he can send a note. So I can send a note to Mike to say, job well done. Also, explain, also, please explain the customer about our web portal for support. Maybe he forgot to say that at the end of his conversation. So I would just remind him there, and I'm going to notify him so he can listen to his call and remember, oh, he forgot to say that, and then he can respond back and said, okay, I gotcha, and I can hit save. And that way, it gets notified. And then the rep will be able to get that call. All right, so this is pretty much it when it comes to using the inbound. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Then obviously you can have support. We have a live chat here. You can submit a ticket. So a lot of things you can do. You can create scripts for inbound. So if you have a script, you can have different scripts for different campaigns that are all web-based. They can also be pointed to a certain website if you have an inbound skill. And then we have a few other settings here that we do, but these are really designed if you're doing more of an outbound calling. I'm going to go ahead and log in really quickly. I'm going to show you the agent side. So here, I'm going to go ahead and log in as an agent. And I'm actually paused here as a rep, but if I unpause, I'll actually be taking calls. Let me see here. Let me show you here better. I'm actually waiting for a call. So now I'm in the wait for call queue in this request to demo campaign. And if you see that here, if I go to my dashboard, I'm in the wait mode. So I can actually take a call. And see here I am. And I'm actually waiting to take a call. See? And then if I go on break, you'll notice this person go over here. So watch, I go on break. And then you see how I move to break. And then it starts ticking to see how long I'm on break for. And then it'll also start, soon it will start showing me how long I've been on break for too. So it reminds me I've been on break for 20 minutes. So I need to get back on the phones, whether to take an inbound call or to make an outbound call. And I will conclude this with the presentation. I think I've given quite a bit of information on the inbound, on how the system works. If you have any other questions, please feel free to give us a call at Chase Data Corp or visit our website, chasedatacorp.com or bettercallcenters.com. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.